All right, welcome to ATR, All the Rage Sports Talk. Tonight we're going to hit on some Deflategate suspensions in the NFL training camp, fantasy picks. We're going to have basketball and junk with Jace, go puck yourself with Jesse, and the Krob Race Report. All when we come back. Welcome to ATR. All right, everybody, welcome to ATR. So we're going to start off the talk today with some Deflategate talk, Tom Brady, the Wells Report, Belichick, all of their balls. Give me some kind of insight. How do you feel about this 4-game suspension for Brady? Like, do you feel that's fitting? Do you think that it was too much? Like, what do you think? Jace, start us off here.
I'm going to have to say I think he should have been punished in some way. Because, I mean, he did alter something that should have been out of his control. But at the same time, like, what was it? Like 2 PSI or something?
I think it was, like, the regulation was, what? Somewhere between 12 and 13 or 11.5 and 12.5 or something like that. And it was, like, half a pound or so under.
Yeah, that's not going to make up the deficit in that game because they absolutely came out of the gate and just destroyed the Colts. But still, they're still trying to alter the game in ways to benefit them. So I think he should have been punished in some way. I don't think he gets that 4-game suspension, however, if Robert Kraft doesn't come out and, talk to Goodell and then go on national television and say the Patriots as a team aren't going to appeal their ramifications that they receive. That's basically saying, hey, do what you want to our franchise quarterback because we fucking cheated.
All right, so, what do you think, Cameron?
Well, honestly, I think, like Jason was saying, he should get something because,
Wrong!
Well, go for it. Go for it.
No. Let's hear your completely invalid and non-justifiable point. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, he is Tom Brady, and I mean, the way I look at it, they're repeat offenders, I guess, is the way I look at it.
Right.
They should that's my point, is they should be punished some way. Maybe the 4-game suspensions, maybe a little over the top or something.
See, I don't think it's over the top. I think it's a little bit. I personally think it's under, but I have a slight hatred for Tom Brady. But that's besides the point.
And something to note is he has appealed, and he's probably going to get it reduced to under 2 games around there.
That's not what the appeal would go to, but...
Well, let's think back to quarterback suspensions, when Ben got suspended for 4 games,
it was originally 6.
It was originally 6, but it's not comparable to,
Right. And he actually never went to jail or he just was accused. Never went to court, never went... anything.
Well, that's because he won a Super Bowl, just like Kobe Bryant won an NBA
7
championship.
Super Bowl.
If Hitler won an NBA championship, he'd be everybody's best friend.
Now, here's my point, though. You look back, the Saints... Jesus. You look at the Saints years ago with Bountygate. They say how, Sean Payton didn't have knowledge of the Bountygate, but he was the one that got suspended, and the team was fined, and all this junk. And the Saints kind of took a stride, said they were wrong, and did it. Why isn't Belichick suspended, too?
No. That's a good question.
Hey, can I make my point on the first point?
Do you think
before you bring up a new point?
All right, go on the first point then. Go.
Okay, I'll tell you guys why you're all wrong. The reason you're all wrong is because they didn't have any definitive proof that Tom Brady did it. You cannot suspend somebody when you have no proof.
It's true.
If the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, they said it was...
OJ killed that bitch.
Yeti.
I was just about to say that, James.
Yeah.
Yeti was a Yeti. Chewbacca was a Wookiee.
Now that don't make sense.
But they had no actual proof that Tom Brady did it. And so I feel that it's not, they cannot, it's the same thing. NASCAR suspended Kurt Busch for the first 3 races because of a supposed domestic violence issue. And when no proof then came out, we're sorry, blah, 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 blah.
But you're talking about a domestic issue, like with Ben, with Greg Hardy right now, with Ray whatever, anybody.
Ray McDonald.
Ray McDonald. When you're talking those suspensions, those are outside of football. And they're
same thing, same principle.
With the Deflate gate that they call it, it's pertaining to football. It's affecting the game. Those are affecting the player outside the game.
Well, first off, no, it didn't affect the fucking game.
Okay,
they fucking kicked their asses, and they were going to kick their asses if they had 50 pounds of the goddamn ball. It didn't matter. They had no proof that Tom Brady had anything to do with those balls being deflated.
Right.
Because they
unless you have
those
definitive proof.
Perfectly.
Unless you have definitive proof, you can, that's like, well, I think Kevin Robinson shot somebody in the face. Well, we're going to go ahead and just put him in the damn chair and fry his ass. Because you think.
A big chair.
That'd be a good day.
I do somewhat agree with you, Kevin, but the only problem is in the public mind, we didn't have any definitive proofs. We were like, well, he might have done, he might not have been involved. Until the Patriots came out and tried covering it up by saying the one guy and the other guy were texting back and forth, and the deflator was the one guy, and it was because he was lifting weights and trying to lose weight, so he was deflating. Like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. At that point, I was like, Tom Brady had something to do with this in one way or the other. They're trying to insult our intelligence and make up a bunch of bullshit.
That doesn't prove that Tom Brady did anything. That just proves that they're fucking dumbasses.
True.
That the organization is retarded at the top levels. It's not at the player level.
Here's a point I want to make on it. The fact that Brady did not cooperate, is that why he's got suspended? Because he didn't cooperate, he didn't turn over the messaging, or is it because Kraft was so diligently upset about things and made up these stories about the deflator? Was it that Bill Belichick tried to be Bill Nye and describe how the freaking PSI left the balls during the game? Like, do all these weigh in on top of what the Wells report said was probable?
Well, it's like
all that put together lead to this?
It almost seems like, they're giving you so much story that it looks like they're hiding something. Like, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The whole time this has been happening, I've just been picturing, like, Brady and Belichick in a room, like, laughing their asses off, just being like, hey, they found out those balls were 0.5 under. I'm glad they didn't find out about the other 23 things we're breaking the fucking rules on.
Yeah, right?
Well, I just haven't distrust anything like, a Wells report or the fucking Ken Starr investigation. They all fall into the same bracket to me as somebody going on a witch hunt, trying to make themselves more famous by demonizing somebody who already is famous. Sort of like the McCarthy hearings back during communism times, where people's lives were ruined because of somebody trying to make a bigger name for themselves.
All right, now you're going and comparing
Tom Brady and communism.
I actually welcome that because I was trying to think of what that guy's name was, and
compared the Wells report to communism and the Red Scare.
Well, Joe McCarthy was a drunk and an asshole, and he just ran around pointing his fingers and saying, you're a communist, you're a communist. And Kevin's kind of right. Wells pretty much was like, well, we saw some text messages, and you might be a communist, and you might have deflated those balls, but we're going to go ahead and say you did it anyhow. Just because.
America.
Yeah, that's why. America. Salute.
I don't know if I agree with that. Okay, on that, do you think that Tom Brady didn't feel like he had to turn everything over because he thinks that he is, the face of the NFL and he's above all this and that he can get away with whatever he wants?
No, I don't think Tom Brady turned anything into him because fuck the police.
Well,
okay.
Coming straight from the underground. No, it was just a matter of, I think his reputation from this is going to be damaged enough. I think if he would have just turned it all over, he would have had nothing to hide, it would have been fine. But I
think he's the greatest football player in NFL history, and it doesn't matter what this says about him.
We're only scratching the surface with this. Just makes you wonder about what else him and Belichick and Kraft and all them have tried to get away with. If he wouldn't have had anything to hide, he would have just turned them over.
Right, that's what makes it so upsetting.
As opposed to hurting his reputation further, he just decided to go, okay, I'm not going to cooperate, so you really don't find out what the hell we've been up to, and he just took the hit for this one.
Everybody cheats. Everybody's dirty.
Do you think he would have got a longer suspension if he would have turned over that stuff? Do you think it would have incriminated him and he might be suspended for 10 games?
No,
probably.
If I was Tom Brady, I probably wouldn't care because he has a lot of money and a hot wife. So I'll sit at home.
He's going to go through OTAs, not even he's going to play 2 preseason snaps and then go home and bang his Victoria's Secret model wife until week 5 or week 6 or whatever he comes back.
Yeah, I think it is kind of weird that the bye week is in there and he won't be back till week 6 actually, and it's technically a 4-game suspension, which I find fine. I'm okay with it. I like that. I think it's also funny that week 1 will include 2 suspended superstars that kick off the NFL season with the Steelers missing Le'Veon Bell and the Patriots missing Tom Brady. So basically that's just going to be the most glorified preseason game of the year.
Hopefully Gronk can throw the football to himself.
If the Steelers hadn't picked up D'Angelo Williams, I would actually pick the Patriots for that game over the Steelers.
Yeah,
we're going to see what Garoppolo can do. I mean, you got to look at what Brady did in the playoffs against the Raiders. No name, and he ends up going and winning a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they're 2 completely different people in completely different decades.
Still.
Oh yeah, because nobody ever comes out of nowhere and wins football games. You're right, Jesse. I forgot.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
that's pretty much what you're saying.
He's going to show up in the playoffs, and now Gronk take over for Brady.
Playoffs?
You're talking about playoffs?
Nice, Cameron. Appreciated it.
I
figured I'd chime in.
Had to second the motion.
All right, so I'm sick of talking about this.
Yeah, all right. So we hit Deflategate. So basically the bottom line is, in my opinion, I think it's fair. I think that this would have been a lot more if Brady would have turned over evidence. Personally, I think that he was at fault and
no proof
it up, and I think that he probably would have got 6 to 10.
No proof.
I think there would have been proof if he would have turned over his messages.
No proof.
But anyway, all right, moving on. Let's look at some of the other suspensions around the NFL right now. We have, what is it, Ray McDonald? Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Nobody cares about him. Move on.
He's suspended for the whole season, isn't he?
Inconsequential. Move on.
Yeah, he's out for the season because he can't stop hitting women. Yeah. So he's a piece of trash. He needs to get out of the NFL.
I have that.
Needs to be shot in the face. Move on.
Yeah. AP is back. Adrian Peterson is back from his giant suspension. He just went to OTAs.
Just reported today.
Yeah, just reported today. That's going to be a big, giant boost for a Vikings team that seemed like they were on the verge of something last year with Bridgewater.
Teddy H2O, and you throw AP in the backfield and give him a running game.
Not that Gerald,
they're going to make some noise.
Not that McKinnon was horrible last year. Him and Asiata, thank you. I can't pronounce words. Words are hard. Asiata.
Copper and salmon.
So, not that those guys did bad by committee. I mean, they did pretty good.
No, they did pretty good. I actually had McKinnon on my fantasy team.
And
I forget their third running back. I can't remember his name. I had him too. And they all did pretty good. I also wanted to point out that this is National Accordion Awareness Month.
So if you see an accordion, you should immediately become aware of it because it's a month. Yeah. But anyhow,
I haven't seen an accordion in 40 years.
Our grandmother has an accordion and knows how to play it.
That's awesome.
Now, back to football. Along with what Kevin was saying, I had Matt Asiata, and he wasn't as much of like a running back.
He was one of those hit or miss touchdown players.
Well, he almost reminded me like a Roy Halou. Like he caught the ball a lot out of the backfield, or like a Matt Forte. And I think they
presence.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
I think they filled in well, but you can't replace Adrian Peterson.
It's gonna send the Vikings into a different level. Some of the other suspensions we talked.
He's gonna get injured the first week.
You're just upset because you got him in your fantasy league last year and you got him for one game.
Yeah, and Jeff Junk needs to be fucking banned from fantasy football forever.
Why?
Because he
picked up freaking Peyton Manning in the first round and benched him for the entire season. It's ruined by quarterback.
Not the entire season. When Carr was on his bye week, he played Peyton.
And he won that week.
Yeah, because of Peyton.
He was like 1-14.
Hey, it's all about strategy. It's all about your hatred of that horse head fucking billboard forehead having prick.
What? All right, moving on.
American.
He looks like Elway. They both look like horses.
I can't deny that.
And he can get a Papa John's tattoo up here, and that's all the advertising they would ever need.
Exactly. Well, he's bought like half of them. All right, other suspensions. Greg Hardy up for 10 games.
Shoot him, kill him, bury him in the woods.
You weren't I thought that was a good signing by the Cowboys, but now it doesn't even seem like he's going to be worth it.
Well, I think it's really great that they picked up Randy Gregory, who also had off-the-field issues, so he can play one game and get suspended and then be out for the next 10 games, and then Greg Hardy can come back and play a game and get suspended again. It'll just be a nice,
They can rotate them.
They'll have a rotating door, literally, at defensive end.
Do they need to get 16 different defensive ends that have off-the-field problems? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, they should sign Ray McDonald as really If we're just gonna keep going with domestic violence and drug charges and everything else, yeah.
Dallas is a good place for napalm.
I heard that once.
That's a Brian Baden quote. All right, so what other suspensions we got? We got Tom Brady. That's going to be a big impact. How do you think Garoppolo will do in those 4 games? If it stays at 4 games, which I feel like it will, because now I think Goodell's got a lot of pressure on his butt that he can't change it because a lot of people are going to be mad.
You guys are going to smite me for saying this, but I honestly think Garoppolo comes out, or however you pronounce his name, and gets a win week 1, and I'll tell you why.
You're full of shit.
Well, it very well may be. But
listen to his point.
If it happens, here's my reasoning. A, Rob Gronkowski. Wanting you to read.
It'll never happen.
B, you're going up against the Steelers team who's going to have trouble putting points up because basically 2/3 of their big 3 in Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. With Bell being out, you put in D'Angelo Williams, which he's still got something left, but he's no Le'Veon Bell. And Garoppolo's going to play a Steelers team who, for the first time in umpteen million years, doesn't have Dick LeBeau, doesn't have Troy Polamalu. Ike Taylor is gone.
Thank God.
You
just listed 3 great things in a row for the Steelers.
Yeah, it really did.
Well, still, they were pretty much non-factors, but when you look at the amount of change they're going to have on that defensive front, they're going to have a lot of, and you've got a lot of younger guys. It's going to take time for that defensive unit to gel. And when you look at a team like the Patriots, where Garoppolo sat behind Brady all last year, he has a chance to come out and at least put them within a shout of winning.
No.
I'm sorry, it's not going to happen because the Patriots do not have anybody in their secondary. You know who their starting cornerback is? The Super Bowl savior, Malcolm Butler, who was riding the bench most of the Super Bowl. And most of last year. That's their starter. Their top 3 are gone. They don't have a secondary anymore. And Antonio Brown's going to tear them up. You forgot about the 4th B in Martavius Bryant, who's going to just absolutely kill over the top on them. I'm sorry, but that offense without Le'Veon Bell.
Well, wait, we're forgetting about Sammy Coates.
And then Sammy Coates comes in, he'll drop a few balls.
They'll put Senquez Golden on fucking Gronkowski.
Yeah, they will too.
5'8.5" against 6'7" or whatever the hell he is.
No, actually, I would love to see Shazier on Gronk the whole time because Shazier's quick.
No, they'll put Simmons on him if they do a linebacker.
You dick ride Shazier. It's
that dude's monster.
No, you look at the other players they put on that defense, and it's no coincidence that they released Denard, they released, Kyle Arrington, all those guys. Get rid of everybody.
They did, too.
Belichick obviously has to have a plan. He's the type of guy who doesn't take a shit without having a plan. So he's got something cooking.
Vince Wilfork is also missing from the Patriots defense. That's a gigantic hole.
But they went out and drafted Malcolm Brown, who I think will fill in nicely.
Oh, that's great. He's a college player, which means he's not going to have half the steam of an NFL veteran, which means he'll be getting spelled in and out of the game. So he's not going to be a factor in the entire game.
Vince Wilfork was as old as sin.
So, Vince Wilfork got shit done, bitch.
Yeah, he got shit done literally by the time the third quarter rolled around.
They aren't going to beat the Steelers. The Patriots will probably go 2-2. The 2 wins coming when LeGarrette Blount comes back from his suspension.
Correct. I would agree with that because LeGarrette Blount.
That's bullshit.
That Colts game that the whole damn Deflate gate is over was won by LeGarrette Blount. Like, him rushing for what he rushed for, it was like 50 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever. It was ridiculous. Having a deflated ball does not make that happen.
The only thing he does better than running the football is smoking the ganj.
Yeah, rolling blunts.
Yeah, speaking of, your boy Le'Veon Bell, his partner in crime, is suspended for the first, 4 or 6 games?
3.
I was close.
Not even all. I think that the hardest game, I think one of the games is Jacksonville. One of them is the Patriots. The other one, I honestly cannot remember.
You're on a computer. Figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to bring it up now. But I think the Steelers have a good chance of winning all 3 of their beginning because they do not have a tremendous amount of heavy hitter games now that Tom Brady's suspended. Before I thought, well, we're screwed in week 1, and then, well, we're going to probably lose one other game because the Steelers will play like Jacksonville, like
they do against the Raiders because it's the Raiders. And
they'll get slaughtered somehow, some way.
I think they'll be okay for those first 3 games because they're only missing 1 of 4 pieces to their puzzle.
Right. They're playing the 49ers in week 2.
They've got a half a piece replacing the 4th piece. So I think they'll be okay with 3.5.
It's hard to judge that one because you don't know what 49ers team's going to show up.
One other point to all this. We were talking about the suspensions, Brady, and all that. I don't know if you guys might not have seen it or not because I was waiting for you guys to get the fuck on here, and I was looking at Facebook. Roger Goodell has declined to remove himself from Tom Brady's appeal process.
Yeah,
so he'll still be overseeing the appeal.
That makes me think that the appeal's not going he's not going to get suspended, or he's going to, and it's going to make Roger Goodell look horrible. So I honestly don't know how.
Roger Goodell's the one who decides what happens. So if Roger Goodell looks horrible, he makes himself look horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he's probably not going to lose any games off of it.
I see him maybe losing a game or two just so Goodell doesn't look like a royal douchebag like he always does. But
he is a royal douchebag, so whatever.
Well, yeah, good point.
Salmon.
I just said that. But
I love that bring the draft. Every time he goes up, he gets booed.
He's like a menstruating woman. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. He's either going to be, forgiving, or he's going to come up and he's going to be like the Joseph Stalin of the NFL and do this.
If Joseph Stalin had won a Super Bowl,
kill everyone.
If Joseph Stalin would have won a Super Bowl. So now they have passed the new extra point ruling that all kicks will now be from the 15-yard line, and that if you go for a 2-point conversion, now this is something I always thought was really cool because it always happened to me in Madden. If you were to get an interception or a fumble recovery in a 2-point conversion, you can actually run it back and get 2 points for the opposing team. So that has now been passed. How do you guys feel about this? Is it going to change a lot? Is it even a big deal?
I feel like it's not really a big deal at all. Honestly, cool 2 points, but why not? Get yourself 7. Get the ball back, go down and score and get 7 instead of the 2 points.
Yeah, but moving it back to the 15-yard line, do you think that's going to cause less people to go for the point extra and go for 2?
Well, maybe, because there's a lot more room to operate. You're that much farther away from the goal line. There's more room in the end zone and in front to run plays. Everything's not congested and stupid. I still feel, the extra point would be what most people go for. Just get that extra point and get your defense out in the field, really.
Right.
It's just, I don't understand why they move the kickoffs forward. We're doing all these things. Why can't we just leave football to be football? Move your back and just kick the extra point. If you're feeling ballsy, fake the extra point and go for 2. Move the kickoffs back. They just, for some reason, they want to keep changing the game until eventually we're going to be playing like rugby, but with your feet. We're going to be playing soccer is what we're going to be playing.
You brought up a very good point there, and maybe unintentionally, but you did. There's going to be no more fake extra points now. What happens when it happened to the Steelers last year, where the holder fumbled the hold, he picked it up, turned, threw it to Matt Spaeth, Matt Spaeth caught it, it was a 2-point conversion. That's not going to happen this way anymore because you're going to be 15 yards back. That's going to extremely affect how people are going to run plays. They did actually fake extra points and then ran it in for a 2-point conversion. This rule change completely eliminated that now.
You lose the element of surprise on that. You're right, and I agree with Cameron a little bit. You've got more room to operate and run plays, but it's fucking football. Just leave it alone, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand what the fucking big deal about the extra point is and why we had to bring it back.
Roger Goodell and Hitler are the same person. Moving on. Kevin.
Go Brett Favre.
I think it's stupid. Football it sometimes pisses me off. You sit here, you're bitching about Tom Brady's balls. Bruce Jenner doesn't have balls anymore.
He's Caitlyn Jenner now.
It's just, I'm confused. I don't understand why they feel the need that they've got to change all this shit. Football is by far and large probably the most followed sport, American sport. Baseball used to be America's pastime. It is not anymore. It is football.
Right.
And for some reason, Governor Goodell thinks he's just got to go and fucking change everything. Well, you can't hit the quarterback anymore. If you breathe on the goddamn quarterback, he's going to die, so we can't do that. You can't hit a receiver anymore and lay him out and make him unconscious and shit. That takes all the fun out of it.
That is true. If you're a quarterback or a receiver, you may as well just wear a skirt.
He's trying to turn into an offensive game and make points happen. That's the biggest.
It's gonna be arena football if he keeps it up.
He's trying to make football more exciting, and it's already the best sport.
Why not make the goalpost smaller? That'll eliminate more extra points and field goals if that's what you're trying to friggin' do, which is what he's trying to do. He wants to, make it more dramatic and have more missed ones.
You know what? If it was that fucking easy to kick field goals and extra points, there wouldn't be teams firing fucking kickers every year.
Right.
And on that subject, I know we hate it now, but we might look back on it in a couple of years. Same way when they put the 3-point line in basketball, there were people that were like, oh, it's going to ruin the game, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like one of the integral parts of the game. So it's sort of an experiment, I think.
Yeah.
It'll either work out or it won't.
I do like the fact that if they throw an interception on a 2-point conversion, they can return it and get 2 points. I think that should have been done a long time ago. I don't see the point of moving back the kick.
All right.
All right, training camp. Let's talk about some of the biggest injury, obviously, is Fowler Jr. was the start off.
An hour into rookie mini camp, and he blows his knee out.
That was a great pick.
That is, you can't sum up the Jaguars in the past 5 years.
I know, without saying
in that headline. Less than an hour in, your third overall pick, who's supposed to revitalize your entire defense. And
his body said, "Fuck this! I don't want to play for the Jaguars."
You know what I find great, though, and I will give the Jaguars the biggest of props on this. 3 days after that, they signed him to, the max contract they could sign him to, which I give them a lot of credit for that. That was pretty respectful.
Well, you know why this is all happening? It's because they didn't pick up Tim Tebow. If they'd have picked up Tim Tebow, they'd have won the fucking Super Bowl already.
Jesus Christ.
Philadelphia,
God.
taking the ship. Philly's taking the ship this year with Tim Tebow.
Oh, I'm going to kill you.
Riding the coattails of Jesus.
Cue the accordions for Awareness Month.
I want an accordion just to play over that whole segment where Kevin...
Divine intervention!
Training camp.
Jeff Heuerman, or however you pronounce his name, the tight end that the Broncos picked up also in the second day of rookie minicamp tore his ACL, and he was supposed to be their sort of big replacement for Julius Thomas, so that hurts them quite a bit.
So oh no, we suck again!
Yeah.
No, because they have Peyton Manning, so they'll be all right.
It's funny.
Yeah, they've got Peyton and Demarius.
NFL analyst has now ranked Peyton Manning almost out of the top 10, and you're still on his D.
Because he is the second greatest quarterback of all time.
Okay, when did he become second?
Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Oh my God, you're on Tom Brady's D now?
No, I hate Tom Brady with a passion, but he is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Tom Brady's not the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes, anyway, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback. Who's the greatest quarterback of all time?
Joe Montana.
No.
Oh, another fun fact about training camp. Did you guys see about Tony Lippett? Excuse me. Standout wide receiver in college. He is transferred to the cornerback position. He's 6'3", but he had 3 picks in practice the other day.
So a tall Sam Shields.
All right, guys. Off-season moves. What team improved their team the most, and what team looks like a playoff team come next year? What teams do not?
I'll start off.
Fantastic job.
I think the greatest, as far as best improvements to a team, I'd have to go with, as far as a team, Seattle. They had one missing piece, and they fixed that missing piece. I don't think anybody, because most other teams that picked up players had multiple holes to fill, didn't fill all their needs. I think Seattle filled the only need they really had. If they'd have had Jimmy Graham, they would have won the Super Bowl.
They also,
no doubt,
depleted their offensive line, who already wasn't doing so hot. Why Russell Wilson has to scramble constantly.
They have Russell Wilson. It doesn't fucking matter.
Pro Bowl center. Yeah, they really improved your team with their one pickup.
Yeah, they did.
All right.
I think they're the best team in the NFL. As far
I don't
as
disagree with you there, but there are many teams that added far much more talent.
Well, as far as not gonna make or who's gonna make the playoffs and who's not gonna make the playoffs, I think right now, one of the, and this will be a surprise pick for everybody on here, I think the Oakland Raiders have a shot at the playoffs this year.
I can actually agree with you on that one.
I think their defense showed a lot of improvement throughout the year last year. If Latavius Murray can stay healthy.
Jace just literally went from 6 to midnight.
If Murray can stay healthy.
Is this real life?
They picked up a great wide receiver in the draft for Derek Carr to throw to. They need better tight end play to help out Derek Carr, because that is always the biggest helper of a young quarterback is a great tight end. If they get some increased tight end play,
we did
can
draft
stay healthy.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but we did draft a tight end out of Clive Walford out of the University of Miami, which is coming from your favorite college in the whole wide world, because that's where Jimmy Graham came from. But moving on.
But I think the Raiders had the best shot to be a team that makes the playoffs that didn't make it last year, because of the fact they made those improvements to their team. I actually don't think the Broncos are going to be that great this year, and the San Diego Chargers are like always 2 steps away from being the worst team in the league.
They really are.
Okay, so the team that was good last year that I don't think is going to make the playoffs this year, I'd actually have to go, I think, with the Baltimore Ravens then, because the Baltimore Ravens didn't pick up anybody, I think, in the draft that really improves their team. I think in the AFC North, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh both improved their teams in a lot of respects, not only through the draft, but also through the free agency process, especially the Steelers.
I don't know about the Steelers.
And the Bengals did theirs mainly through the draft. I think the Bengals will probably take the division. Steelers will be right there in second place. Baltimore's going to be left out.
I can dig it.
Ooh, actually, playoff team, I was just thinking on this for a minute, that's why I've been so quiet, and I hate to say it. Pretty good young team. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
Do you think they're going to
No.
You really think they get? I mean, I can see what you're saying. They might be able to sneak into a wild card, but in that division,
it's a wild card.
Who's going to throw the football?
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football. But,
Johnny Football's going to be in Philadelphia. They're going to pick up Sam Bradford. He's going to get broken in like the first 2 seconds of the first game of the season. And they're going to have Josh McCown.
But it's like, to me, Cleveland has this mostly young team that they just couldn't finish our games last season. If they were able.
Kevin just jumped teams when he said Sam Bradford is going to get broken in the first game of the season, and then they're going to have Josh McCown throwing the football for them. So what you're saying is Josh McCown is going to up and leave in the middle of the Cleveland game to go to Philadelphia and play quarterback.
He thinks that Johnny is going to get traded to Philly for Sam Bradford.
Chip Kelly's all up on Johnny's dick.
He's off on Tim Tebow's dick right now.
If that Cleveland team can finish our games, they stand a good chance of having a winning record this season.
I don't know. They lost talent at tight end. They lost talent at wide receiver. They got Dwayne Bowe.
They have no talent at quarterback.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer was.
Well, if you put all 3 of the McCown or 4 or 5 or how many ever fucking McCowns are together, all into one person, you get like half of an actual NFL quarterback.
Actually, if the NFL would get off their high horse and let them start all 3 of their quarterbacks at the same time, they might be able to complete a pass to somebody.
In the words of a great man, you just need to run the wishbone.
Fucking wishbone.
There we go. Mike Vick said he wanted another shot in the league here. Get Mike Vick in Cleveland. Put him and Johnny Football both in the backfield.
That hasn't happened. That's a good point.
He'll be a middle of the season pickup.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine that, man? Bell Vick lining up side by side in shotgun formation. You never know who the fuck is getting the ball.
That would be interesting.
That'd be the Wildcat to the extreme.
That would be really interesting. The Wildcat drop
extreme.
Who is your team that drops out of the playoffs?
The Broncos. To me, they're getting old. They're getting old, really. I mean, you got Demarius still or whatever, but I don't think he's gonna.
I can see that because I have a weird feeling that Peyton's going to get injured this year. I also have a weird feeling that team is going to rely on the run more, and Peyton Manning's not going to be happy, and the playbook's going to be a complete change now that they have Gary Kubiak. I think. Yeah. I can see that.
I strongly believe that the Broncos aren't going to make it this year.
All right, Jace.
So Gary Kubiak couldn't do anything with the Texans either, so.
Yeah, but he did pretty damn good with the Ravens last year. He made Justin Forsett into one of the top fantasy running backs in the league.
No, the Baltimore Ravens offensive line made Justin Forsett.
Marshall Yonda made Justin Forsett. Awesome.
And their two guards, Kalichi Osmele and Marshall Yanda, were just unstoppable.
They were nuts. Jace, who's your pick?
I'm going to do an AFC and NFC. I'm not going to talk about the AFC team because, in the risk of sounding biased, I do agree with Kevin when he talks about the Raiders. Upgraded, added depth.
So biased.
Well, they added depth all over the place.
They really did.
You get the best receiver in the draft, possibly the best player in the draft.
They're not even good, though.
Not the best player, but the most pro-ready player, and that's going to help Carr out. That's all I really
They're
have to
the Raiders.
Shut up. And you get to the NFC, and it pains me to say this, but the team I think that improved the most and the team that I think is actually going to make the Super Bowl this year is none other than the Dallas Cowboys.
No, it's the Eagles with Tim Tebow.
Shut up.
They're going to be putting 2-point conversion after 2-point conversion.
You look
Jesus
at
in the backfield.
Yeah, Jesus and his favorite guy, Tim Tebow. And then moving on. You look at the Cowboys go out and get, I think, an instant Pro Bowler in Byron Jones. Fills an immediate gap in that secondary. They go out, and even though Greg Hardy is suspended for the first 10 games, he's still going to be there. He's still been a top-flight defensive end for a number of years now, and he's still going to be able to mentor everybody else on that defensive line, including a very young Randy Gregory. You put those two together, I think late in the season they make a late push in the playoffs, and I think that defense is going to be, you're getting Sean Lee back. That defense is going to
for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah. Well, they're only going to need him for the first 2 weeks.
But the thing is, the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you got to look at it. They took Rolando McClain from chicken shit and turned him into chicken salad.
They really did.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong, but I do believe they re-signed him. So Sean Lee goes down again.
Did, yes.
And I can actually see those two rotating in and out in different situations. But
you've got to look at one thing, too.
Orlando
Dallas has to go up against the quarterbacks that will no doubt take them out of the playoffs this year. And that quarterback is Tony Romo.
I see what you did there.
That is a good point. But the argument can be made that because they did downgrade the running back position, I think they'll have more of a running back by committee.
It doesn't matter. I could run for 150 yards behind that Dallas offensive line.
No, you couldn't.
I could be a Pro Bowler.
You can't spell 150 yards.
You put Collins at fullback and then just run with the line you had last year. That's all you need.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to get to that, and then you get a guy who possibly could have been a top 5 or top 10 pick in La'el Collins as a free agent signing after the draft. And he's literally a plug-and-play starter on that line anywhere you need him to go if an injury arises.
Dallas Cowboys had one of the best drafts, and it wasn't even part because of the draft. They had Randy Gregory in the second, and they got Collins after the draft. And that just therefore made this one of the greatest draft classes ever.
Which is surprising because Jerry Jones was in charge of it, and that never happened.
He started doing good when he passed up on Menzel and went with Zach Martin.
That's true. But to end, that offensive line is going to be scary. I think Byron Jones is a shutdown corner with Gregory and Hardy eventually getting to play together late in the season and into the playoffs. I think they go to the Super Bowl. I think this is the year that they possibly go all the way.
I can see it.
And for my team who is not going to make the playoffs this year, I'm going to have to agree with Cameron and say the Dallas Cowboys. No, the Denver Broncos.
Second greatest quarterback of all time.
Shut up. You take away Julius Thomas, who's,
they're losing more than they're gaining.
one of your big and red zone threats. I don't like the pick of Shane Ray. You've got DeMarcus Ware, who I understand is getting old, but you've got Von Miller, you've got DeMarcus Ware. I'm not saying it's a bad pickup for
It would have been
future,
a fine pick,
but for right now, it doesn't make sense.
And not traded up for him.
Yeah. Right now, the pick doesn't make sense, is what I'm saying. But, and you look at, they've got that offensive line. They're
in bad shape right now.
Kevin Robinson's going to be starting at left guard here soon for them. And Peyton's getting up there in age. He's lost some zip on the ball. I just think there's only so much that Demaryius Thomas can do. Even with, they do have 3 running backs who are capable of starting. But that's not going to give you... You can't plug them in at every position.
You gotta have a guy in front of you.
You can't have C.J. Anderson play left tackle for Monte Ball and then rotate.
If there's Kevin Robinson playing, Kevin would get sponsored by Orville Redenbacher, much like Marshawn Lynch got sponsored by Skittles.
I don't eat Orville Redenbacher. Fuck yourself.
All right, Pop Secret. My bad.
No, I go Pop Weaver. I ain't picky about my.
Oh, you're Pop Weaver. You're Walmart cheap brand Pop Weaver.
Yeah. Fuck that expensive shit. Popcorn's popcorn.
My pick for a playoff team in the wild card.
I can tell I already disagree with this pick.
I can already tell who it is.
Going to be the Jets.
Bullshit.
I think we're going to go with the Bills.
I thought about the Bills as well. It's going to be one of those teams in the East because that East just went absolutely nuts with how they improved each other. Every one of the teams got improved.
Who plays a quarterback for the Jets?
They have Geno.
Who plays a quarterback for the Jets?
They have Geno.
I've seen a guy saying he was a quarterback. I haven't seen anybody play quarterback for the Jets for a long time.
I also think that Bryce Petty will be starting by midseason, and I think he actually is going to be good. Their defense is so improved. It is absolutely nuts how improved that defense is.
Who's their starting quarterback?
Offensively, but you can say that about the Texans, you can say that about the Bills. Both teams really freaking great if they had a quarterback.
That's all fine and dandy, but the Jets are the only team in the NFL who has Geno Smith. Right. And that automatically puts you at a
right. I think that Bryce Petty's going to start midseason. But all I'm saying is that defense is going to carry them. They can run the ball. They can throw slant.
They should have never got rid of Tim Tebow.
I think that they can be. The other one would be the Bills, kind of both those teams. One of those two teams, I think, is going to make the playoffs. In the NFC.
Well, the Bills wouldn't be so sneaky. I mean, they have LaShawn McCoy now. Yeah. That just is an instant improvement to the offense.
Yeah, see, I kind of originally thought Bills, but I just love what the Jets did in the offseason. My NFC team also is the Vikings. Now that AP is there, that defense is awesome. The secondary is drastically improved. And now that AP is going to be in the backfield for Teddy Bridgewater, he's the best quarterback they've had since Brett Favre. And my team that falls out of the playoffs.
To interject, All the Rage Sports Podcast is brought to you by the month of June, which is National Accordion Awareness Month. So the next time you see an accordion, be very aware of it.
Be aware of that accordion. I think one team that could flop would be the Cardinals. All right,
just to make a quick point, Jesse, it won't be the Jets because Geno's going to fuck up, and if they start Bryce Petty, he is going to fall flat on his face.
Yeah, he is. I won't say that. I'd probably have to go with the Bills over the Jets on that, but those are one of my two teams. One of those two teams is going to make it. All right, guys, enough with NFL. Obviously, we've got a little hardcore into the NFL. It is time for the first installment of Basketball and Junk with our one and only Jace Junk.
Thank you. All right, guys. We are in the middle of the best time of the year, in my opinion, other than March Madness. It is NBA Finals time. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Golden State Warriors. which the Golden State Warriors, as far as a meteoric rise goes, I don't think there's ever been a team to go from what they were last year, which was a borderline playoff team, to losing 12 games, I think, in the first 40 they played or something like that. Breaking a record that was set by Jordan and his Bulls. It's just they've been ridiculous. Steph Curry is a god among men, as far as I'm concerned at this point. But anyhow, I want to open it up to you guys right off the bat. You've got Cleveland, you've got Golden State. There's only so much you can pick this apart. What are your guys' predictions for who's going to take the championship and how many games is it going to take? I'm going to start off with you, Cameron.
As much as I don't want to say it, Cleveland in 7.
Cleveland in 7.
I think it's going to be a tough series. I really do. I mean, like you said, Steph is just that team can shoot, and Cleveland is also a powerhouse. But I don't think that they'll be able to stay healthy really through the whole series. Meeting Golden State. I don't know if Steph will be able to play like he has, or anything like that.
Well, Steph's not the question mark, and I forgot to bring this up. I did want to bring up the only real injury report is Klay Thompson, who suffered a concussion in Game 5 against the Rockets, took a hell of a nasty fall. Will be cleared to play Game 1, so the Splash Brothers will be all okay and good to go for Game 1. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's going to be a real tough series. I really do. Like I said, I hate to say it. I just think Cleveland's got all the pieces. They started real shitty at the beginning of the season, but I think they really got their shit together, and they've worked hard.
All right. What do you think, Kevin?
I think Cleveland's going to take it in 4. Ooh. I think, and it's happened multiple times. The team comes out the gate, plays strong early in the regular season, gets through the playoffs, gets to the finals, and they just don't have enough left in the tank to go up against a better team.
He does have a point.
And I think Cleveland is the better team.
That's still, you look at, they play in the Western Conference, whereas it's 8 solid teams the whole way out, as opposed to the Eastern Conference, where it's Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, and then you may as well put up like 5 girls JV teams.
I really just think that, this is LeBron's league. Until somebody else dethrones the king, he is the king. And I think he's going to add another championship to his crown. And I think it'll be great because it'll finally give the city of Cleveland that championship they've been looking for, so I can stop fucking hearing about Cleveland because I really don't care.
Wonderful insight from you, Captain Tebow. Now, Jesse.
I'm really torn on this one because since Kevin Love went down, LeBron has been a monster. But only LeBron has really been the monster. With the Golden State, they've had Curry be a monster. They have Thompson. I mean, it is going to be tough for me. I think it's 6 games. I think it's going to be Cleveland. I can't hate on LeBron. He's shown he's a little more clutch than he used to be, to say the least. And this time he has Kyrie.
Yeah, but no, they're just sort of holding him out and letting him run through the motions to make sure he's ready to go for Game 1, because he's got to guard the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, right now.
Right.
Blatt's already come out and said that Kyrie's still not at 100%.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a big damper. But I will go ahead and say, here's my prediction, and I'll be the one that goes out. I'm going to say Golden State in 5. And the reasoning is Kyrie not being 100%. You have to be on some next level shit to guard Steph Curry. Because you you don't even have to look at the regular season stats. In the Western Conference Finals, in 5 games against the Rockets, he was averaging 35.7 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 6 assists, and almost 2 steals for a 5-game series. And one of those nights he dropped like 42 or something ungodly. Yeah. And you look at some of the shots he's made throughout the season, And LeBron even went on record as saying this week, a reporter asked him how you stopped Steph Curry, and he said, the same way you stop me, you just don't.
It's true.
You put maybe an 85 or 90% Kyrie on Steph, he is going to light this series up. Golden State has depth, coming off the bench. They've got Maurice Spates. They've got Draymond Green. Draymond Green will be the X factor in this series. Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, and those last three guys that I mentioned are all three guys that can easily guard LeBron. Keeping your defenders healthy off the bench. I think it's going to be a really good series. I think the games are going to come down to the wire.
I don't think Kyrie's going to be guarding Steph Curry.
Well, it's either Kyrie or
J.R. Smith.
Well, yeah, J.R. Smith or even Iman Shumpert. But
I do like that we all choose different things. It was like 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like, no one agreed with anybody.
Yeah, that is true.
But I think they're going to give LeBron matchup issues between going with Green, Iguodala, and Barnes. And like Kevin said, if Kyrie's not 100%, they probably will put JR. And JR is my X factor for Cleveland. If he comes out and he's shot anything like he did in the Eastern Conference Finals, that one game where I think he made like his first 6 attempts from behind the 3-point line, just absolutely went off. I think
that's going to be the thing. He's got to do that because if they have him in guarding Steph Curry, playing that kind of time, one thing's going to happen. J.R. Smith is shooting the fucking ball.
Well, J.R. is going to shoot in the same way that I shoot in 2K, just specifically because my guy made a shot, so I got to hurry up and make one to, rub his fucking face in it. I think Steph's just going to be too much. Steph is on. LeBron's great, but Steph is the best. He's the MVP. He's the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, right now. And you stack up LeBron versus Steph, and with the team, Steph wins every time.
Here's what I'm saying, 7, because like LeBron and Steph Curry are two very different players. Like you can't stop LeBron getting to the rim, and LeBron can pull up the 3 too, but I think it's going to be a back and forth thing up until Game 7. Really, honestly, like
I think it's going to be one of those series where it's grinded out until the very end, and it's not going to be one where Golden State blows them out by 20 in Game 2. It's going to be very much down to the wire every single game, but you stick that backcourt between Thompson and Curry and the depth they have on the bench. I think it's too much for Cleveland to overcome. Golden State in 5.
I'm going to change mine to Cleveland in 5 because Jace just said that Golden State won't blow them out by 20 in Game 2, so I think that is going to happen now.
I hate you so much. All right, Jesse, back.
All right, that was basketball and junk with our one and only Jace Junk. Moving on, we are also in the NHL Finals. Stanley Cup playoffs between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That calls for the one and only time. Go puck yourself. All right, so right now we have the Chicago Blackhawks, who came back, beat the Anaheim Ducks 4-3.
The Mighty Ducks
4-3. And then we have Tampa Bay, who also had to fight off the Rangers from coming back, and won that series 4-3 as well. 2 7-game series. We take a look at the last 5 years of the Stanley Cup playoffs. 2 of those 5 years have been the Chicago Blackhawks. 4 of those last 5 years has been a Western Conference team, and those have been the Kings and the Blackhawks. The only Eastern Conference team that's won in the last 5 years has been the Boston Bruins. West Coast has been the dominant source so far, but can Tampa Bay be that East Conference team that finally topples the Blackhawks? In the last 5 years, the Blackhawks have never made a finals that they haven't won. So the biggest thing is, what are you guys' opinion? What is your take on this? Who's going to be the winner, and who's going to be your MVP?
Well, I have a question. Does Ryan Malone still play for the Lightning?
Oh, God.
I don't think so.
Okay, then I'm going to go with the Blackhawks.
I mean, right now the Blackhawks, they have Patrick Kane, who has 20 points, and then you have Tyler Johnson, who's 21, and he doesn't even play in the first line.
You said Johnson.
Well, you know what? Puck off.
Oh, I like that.
But the biggest thing right now is the Chicago Blackhawks have experience in this department. Most of this team has been on the Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks team. Most of them that matter, at least. Do you think that Tampa Bay can topple the Blackhawks, or is this just Blackhawks' game to mess up? Jay, start us off.
I'm going to go Blackhawks in 7, and I'm going to make a prediction anyhow that Ben Bishop will still be the MVP of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow.
And I will tell you why. I think you're right. I think experience is going to play a big factor here. You look at how young Tampa Bay is. I think they're the youngest team in the NHL right now, with Steven Stamkos, Tyler Johnson, Ben Bishop. They're basically, their entire team is very, very young. But you look at a guy like Bishop,
like the Chicago Blackhawks were for 4 or 5 years ago. They were tremendously talented.
But that Blackhawks team is also 1 year away from winning, if I do remember correctly. You look at what Ben Bishop, I'm going to focus on Bishop mostly, because you look at what he did against arguably probably the best team in the playoffs, which would have been the New York Rangers.
Right.
He walks into Madison Square Garden, and keep in mind who's in the net across from him, Henrik Lundqvist.
The King.
Yeah, King Lundqvist. You're walking basically into the King's court, and he basically pitches 2 shutouts in a row on enemy turf, and not only enemy turf, but you have to Madison Square Garden. You're in New York, a real young kid playing goal, and you go in, and your counterpart's Henrik Lundqvist in MSG, and you host 2 straight shutouts to clinch the series for your team to move on to the Stanley Cup Finals.
So would you say that Tampa Bay has the momentum?
Tampa Bay does have the momentum, and like you said, Tyler Johnson, the undrafted rookie from Syracuse, you know, guys who have just come out of completely left field and he's been lighting these playoffs.
There's no left field in hockey.
You get, it's a sports metaphor. Go puck yourself. But anyhow, I do agree that they have the momentum, but Chicago, the Blackhawks are in the middle of a dynasty right now, basically.
They are.
And you look at Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith, Patrick Kane, you know, just to scrape the top. And they're just so good from top to bottom. I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I could even see it going to overtime in Game 7 to decide it.
Which would be absolutely fantastic.
Oh, that is the best case scenario. I think experience takes it. As much as I love a good underdog, and as much as I've loved watching Bishop play these entire playoffs, Blackhawks in 7.
Well, my main reasoning with the Blackhawks is if I were playing the newest NHL game on Xbox, I would take literally half of the Blackhawks team and put them on the Penguins.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
They have the best team in the NHL right now.
They've had the best team in the NHL for the last 5 years.
I mean, they took out the Mighty Ducks.
Here's my question. If Goldberg was in net, would the Ducks have won?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. With the Bash Brothers?
If they had Keenan doing the knuckle puck, would they have won?
They didn't run the flying V.
And the Bash Brothers?
In the Bash Brothers.
They didn't run the flying V, so therefore, you know, that was
Charlie
their downfall.
Conway wasn't on the bench helping Coach Bombay.
They're also going to recruit a Jamaican bobsled team to help them out.
Yes. Well, okay. Cameron, what do you think on this issue?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm going to agree with Jace there. It's, in my opinion, the whole experience thing really does play a huge part in things. But in all seriousness, they're like some great players that the Blackhawks have shown the past few seasons. That just leads me to believe that they're going to continue that through the finals and take it home.
Yeah, I have a hard time saying that the Lightning are such an underdog in here. Because I honestly had the Ducks going to the playoffs against the Rangers. I had the exact opposite of this, and I picked that at the beginning of the playoffs. So I thought I was going to be I thought I was going to be right and all high and mighty, and of course it went the exact opposite direction.
Well, that's because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Puck you. So I honestly didn't see Tampa Bay making it this far. Tyler Johnson has been the biggest of surprise. His shot has been ridiculous. The hat trick he had against the Rangers, which gave them that momentum, which then pretty much deflated all the Rangers' game. He pretty much kind of one-handedly turned the team around. But I honestly have a hard time saying that the Lightning is going to put up a tremendous fight. All right, so if you look back at the past, the last year went 5 games. The 2 before that went 6 games, and then the Boston Bruins against the Canucks went to 7. So honestly, I see this game going in 6. I see it just a continuation of the last 2 cups the Blackhawks won, them winning 4-2. I think Tampa Bay is going to do well. I think they're going to ride this momentum they got, but I think that the Blackhawks just have too much experience, and they're going to just clobber them.
I'm going to make a basketball sort of euphemism here. You look at the Blackhawks, they're on top right now, and you look at the Lightning, who are an up-and-coming team. I look at it a lot like the late 80s, early 90s Pistons and the Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. You've got the young team, you've got, all these dazzling players, and you've got the team that's established and who's been kicking everybody's ass and taking names for the past couple of years. I think Tampa Bay's up and coming, and I think their time is going to be there. But I think for right now, Chicago's just too good.
In that analogy, who was the Bulls and who was the Pistons?
The Pistons is Chicago, and the Bulls are the Lightning.
Okay, because I don't.
That was the only way I could think of it.
All right, well, you know what? It was horrible, but I like it.
Well, whatever. I tried.
That is your segment of Go Puck Yourself. So now moving on, we'll go to our final sports segment of the day. We will give you the Krob race report. Heading over to Kevin.
Straight into turn 1, not turning left.
And we're off. So far in the Sprint Cup season, it's been kind of bland. A little bit of the same old going on. Harvick and Johnson up front every week.
Right.
Said Johnson.
Johnson won last week here at Dover to move himself back up into 3rd place in points. And other sports-related news and crossover news, Dale Jr., when they were at Charlotte Motor Speedway, took Thomas Davis around in the 2-seater NASCAR Sprint Cup car.
Nice.
Outside linebacker of the Carolina Panthers there. Brad Keselowski had his first kid. Kyle Busch had his first kid. Right now, your top 10 in Sprint Cup points. I'll just do the top 5, actually. Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kind of a surprise, you have Eric Almirola bumped up into the 10th position. He did make the chase last year, but Petty Motorsports kind of usually sucks, so it's always surprising to see him up there. Kurt Busch recovered from his 3-race suspension. He's already, at this point at the chase for the start tomorrow, he's in at 15th. And Danica Patrick is currently ahead of her team owner, Tony Stewart, in points. She's in 18th.
Wow.
As far as the Xfinity Series, B-League, that's also been pretty typical. They out of the 12 races they've run so far, 9 of the wins have been by Cup regulars and 3 by the regular Xfinity Series drivers. Chris Buescher leads their points right now over Ty Dillon, NASCAR's new favorite person in the world that you can't watch one race without hearing about, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, and Regan Smith round out the top 5, with Chris Buescher taking the last race at Dover. Ty Reddick won the Camping World Truck Series race at Dover this past weekend. He's right now sitting second in points behind Matt Crafton, ahead of Eric Jones, Johnny Sauter, and John West Townley. JD Motorsports was fined $15,000 when driver Ross Chastain pulled out on the track and dropped a chunk of lead which went back and struck another car following him. But yeah, that's basically all on the NASCAR level there.
That was the K-Rod Blues report. Final thoughts, everybody. Anything you want to add, anything you want to mention, anything you want to throw out there before we sign off?
Well, I think we got to come out and say a big shout out to our extra panelist, and he's going to be joining us more often, hopefully, to Mr. Cameron Shields, since we didn't introduce him in the beginning. And I do have to say he made, several key points. And on closing, Kevin, you were the biggest dumbass of the night. Congratulations.
I would have to agree with that.
I'd also have to agree with that, both points as well that Jace just made, and also say that I hope the next time we do this we have Homer so he can help me make jokes about Jace being a ginger.
Ooh, excellent point. I hate you both.
Cameron, any final notes?
None really at all. I'm glad to be here, really. I had fun. It was fun to talk about sports with you guys. I'll definitely look forward to the next one. We'll talk about more sports and stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you all.
And National Accordion Awareness Month.
National Accordion Awareness.
And Kristen Jenner's lack of testicles.
It's Caitlyn.
Whatever.
Thank you, everyone, from everyone here at All the Rage Sports, and keep on listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, catch our podcast in the Apple Store. Thank you, and good night.